Whoa, what is going on there? Welcome to another episode of Blockchain Basement, the best daily streaming show on Twitch. If you want to join us live, it is twitch.tv/bitboy_crypto. Get your questions in the chat and we will respond in real time. Love hanging out with you guys. Got a really good cast of characters for you today. We got the one and only Frankie Cavs joining us here today. Going to give us a little look on the markets. He's got those Cavs. He was driving the Lambo earlier, but he sped back here to hang out with you guys. So always enjoy it when we get to have him. Also, the Druth is here. Allie the Beautiful. Biscuit Jesus. The, what are you, BJ? Biscuit Jesus, the what? Magician?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd call him a magician.
Accurate.
Come on, you got to say something.
I don't have anything.
Okay, we'll go with magician. And as always, you guys, the best part of the show, Royals Rowdy, Metal Bob, Trey Blig, Chemistry Bro, Paper Plane, Madamus Prime, Multi-Sig Dummy, the Scott Bots, Inevitable Junkie, Carnivore 22222, Beautiful Disaster,
Welcome.
Music Maven, Razmataz, AC Hadera, Loudmouth ETH in the chat. You know, shout out to you,
Yes.
Drew. Sin Drew Giver. That's Drew's alt account.
Yeah.
Yeah, Crypto Sub Method. All of you guys, we love you. Oh, first time chat from Gullible.
No Guillaume.
Yeah, I can't. Some of these names are hard to read, guys, but we love you guys. Big Hands Dan here for the basement. Wow, look at that. That's a good name right there. Quantum Crypto. We got a really good show for you guys today. We're going to talk a little bit about Cosmos. I got roasted in the chat for putting it in the YouTube title yesterday. We didn't actually get to the story, so
Yikes.
you know, dude was mad that we didn't do it. The only reason I watched this entire video was to hear about Cosmos, and you didn't even talk about
Well,
it. So.
it's a hobby.
So I'm never watching
It's a
it
hobby.
again.
court.
Yeah, exactly. You know, whatever. It's our channel. We can talk about
Lots
what
of
we want.
first-time chats in here. You see all the new chats.
Yeah,
Darth,
what's up,
Let's go.
everybody?
Shout out to you guys. Really appreciate you being here. Gonna look at the markets real quick. Get into some Cosmos stuff. We do have a little of information, kind of what we were talking about yesterday on the Mandrake effect. But real quick, Bitcoin coming in a little bit down on the day, starting to pull back. I know you guys have heard. You know, we're seeing here. You probably heard me talk about this on the morning stream. The Bitcoin dominance is starting to tick up. I do think we'll continue to, throughout the course of the year, make a move back up towards that 50% level. That's something we've seen in the past. We know stable coins could come into play with that a little bit, with a lot more money sitting in stable coins than we've seen in the past. Obviously, with USDC, USDT, Binance, you know, BUSD, we've got the Gemini dollar. There's a lot more stablecoin options out there. There's a lot more capital in stablecoins, so that could come into play here. We know Cowan's talking about a 55 plus, you know, maybe 60% BTC dominance. I don't think we can get that high, but I do think we can get at least to 50.
Yeah.
Oh, also, who guessed? I saw you guys talking in the chat about guessing my lunch.
Nobody guessed chicken salad.
Chicken salad, guys. It's a new favorite of mine. Very easy to eat while I do other things. So chicken salad with some really good hot sauce in there too. So you gotta add the hot sauce.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was part of why you guys have heard me talk about be careful with altcoins during this section of the cycle, because we do see Bitcoin moves up, altcoins move up with it. Bitcoin draws down just a touch, but altcoins correct a lot more dramatically. And that's exactly what we saw. I mean, it played out pretty clearly here with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin drawing back only 1.5%, ETH 4.2%, and a lot of other alts 5, 4, 4, 4, you know, a lot of the things over 5% drawdowns there. So just be careful going too heavy on alts too early. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum will be king of this part of the cycle. And then you see, obviously, big altcoin run-ups in 24 and 25 or post-halving. Not saying you can't start to build positions in. That's something I'm looking at right now. When Bitcoin pulls back a little bit and I see altcoins correct hard against it, that's when I'm going to try to start building some of my positions into layer 2s, DeFi coins, and things that I think are going to do well next cycle. Some of that, I mean, I've got Cosmos. I bought Cosmos in 2019, but still like to add more to it. That ecosystem is something that's interesting to me, especially with the DeFi stuff that we're going to get into a little bit more today. But we got a question here from Crypto Mikey. Question 24-25 will be my first bull run. I'll take profit in what do you all think about waiting for a little drop after the top to take profit, leaving some percentage on the table instead of pulling out too soon, miss out on a couple 100%. I'll have a hard time getting rid of my coins. So you're on the right track there. What we tell a lot of people is you generally, unless you're being extremely risky and you know you're being extremely risky, you generally don't want to roll your entire stack in and out too much. You want to have positions that you say, okay, I'm going to take, like you're saying, 80% of my profits right now and leave 20% in to run, or 50% of my profits here, or 50% of my profits there. When Bitcoin, say, If you think Bitcoin's going to top out at 150 to 200 and maybe it hits 170K and you're in major profit, and you're like, you know what, this is enough profit for me. I'm going to take half my bags off the table, or whatever. However you want to strategize that is definitely up to you. But you're on the right track there. Don't roll your entire stack into one project. Don't roll it in and out all over the board there. So yeah, just keep hanging out with us. I'm sure we'll be sharing our different strategies. Everybody's kind of got their own little flavor on how they do it here, which is why I enjoy doing the show, because we get to hear from the greats like Frankie Candle himself. He is the trader. So I actually was going to see what you're looking at on the charts there today. Obviously, we didn't have you on the morning stream. We know we've got the FOMC meeting next week. I think the meeting's early, but the announcement comes out on like the 1st, I think. Is that Tuesday or Wednesday? So I'm predicting some pretty much sideways action or nothing too dramatic until we get that 25 basis points raise. But what are the charts saying?
Yeah, so I kind of agree with you. I would say, obviously that meeting is going to be a good catalyst to get another actual big move up, whether that is a move up or a move down. But kind of like I was talking about on the morning stream yesterday, kind of like how I've been handling these, kind of how I handle the markets at any given point, whether we're going up or down, is you just wait for the big moves, right? You get the big move up, and then eventually you just got to wait for price to continue to range, right? Because that's basically how price action works. You get a move and then you range, you get a move and then you range. Sometimes you can range for a very long time. But when you range, if you're unable to, if you're not in an original position, once you start to range, basically what I do is I break price action up into a palatable range here, right? So I use the volume profile. This is typically how I find these ranges. And then as long as we remain inside of this, remain inside of this channel or range, I basically just treat this as, longing the lows and shorting the highs, right? And I talked about this on yesterday's morning stream. Eventually, when you do break this, right? Let's say we're going to break this to the downside. If we do break this to the downside, we were looking for shorts up here. So you get in there, right? You aim to go ahead and short to the point of control or that value area low, the bottom of the range, and then you could take some profits. And if you wind up breaking that range, you can turn a little scalp trade into an absolute grand slam. But right now, basically the levels I'm looking at, we were in the premium Discord looking at this level down here at about $22,319, looking for price to approach that level with bullish confirmations. You can see here we did get a bullish divergence on the 15-minute. We also had money flow coming up on some other time frames. Some good confluence there to get into that trade, and it wound up playing out for a nice little scalp long.
Nice.
Now, typically here, I would target to take some profit here right before the POC, which would make it about a 2.3% move. However, we did get stuck underneath this local golden pocket. So, I do like to pull some local golden pockets depending on, where you get into this trade. If you can get enough profit, if you can get in low enough and make this a sizable gain for yourself, depending on how much leverage you're using, where your entry was, you might want to take some profits there. But did actually wind up being a nice, not quite up to the POC, at least just yet, but still got it for, almost 2% there. That's a pretty decent little scalp trade with some leverage. And, if you didn't move your stop loss yet, you are likely still in this trade, hoping to make your way up to that POC and eventually potentially getting up to that value area high. However, I am feeling a little bit, we did yesterday get some bearish signals on the chart. One thing I want to bring up to you guys is that we do have a bearish divergence here on the daily, on regular candles, right? So you have your higher highs. This is basically how divergences form. You have a higher high on your price action, and then you have a lower high on your oscillator, whether you're looking at the RSI, the MACD, what have you. So you have a daily bearish divergence. You also had a 4-hour bearish divergence. Kind of the same thing here, higher highs with your lower highs down here. I know it's kind of hard to see because we're on a small laptop screen, but that is a strong top signal, or at least a strong local top signal. And we are up against a very key level of resistance. This blue box is a golden pocket. It's also an untapped naked point of control, which tend to be very, very strong levels. We also have a spider line right in this level. So there's a lot of confluence making this a very, very strong level to reject from. And with that daily bear div and that 4-hour bear div, I do have to lean a little bit more bearish.
I still don't understand what that's supposed to be, BJ.
They're bears.
They're bears.
Oh my God.
Wow.
But yeah, there you go. I am. You could consider me one of those guys. Also, money flow coming out on a lot of these time frames. 4-hour money flow coming out. So I would lean a little bit more bearish.
So you think we could go all the way back down to that golden pocket there?
Yeah, if we.
So what level is that? Because we can't see the right hand side. Call out the numbers there.
So the top of this golden pocket is at about 21.8. And the bottom of that golden pocket is coming in at about 21.5. And if we break this level at 23,000, I'm sorry, 22,319. If we break that level, not a lot of volume between this level and this level. So if we crack this white line at 22,319, we may get a quick move down to the top of this golden pocket at about 21.8. And this, I would be expecting some strong support here.
Yep.
If we do not get strong support here, the next major level I would be looking at, we could pull up the VPVR real quick just to take a look at the volume. And you could see the reason here, right? Once you lose that $22,319 level,
open up the tab on the right hand side. Kick the.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and that'll push everything over.
Boom.
There we go.
So once you lose this white line right here, you can see you will fall into this volume gap. And then, likely the support will start at 21.8, falling all the way down to about 21.5. If you lose that, you're probably going to come down to this actual high volume node coming in at about 20,900. And if we lose that, that's kind of where, I'm not flipping completely bearish, but once we start losing this level here, that's where we can start to potentially start looking much, much lower, because you could see once you crack this level, your next major high volume node is at about 19.1. And then, if you lose 19.1, that's where I start to really worry about not being able to continue this rally.
Yeah, well, and I agree. Those are great levels to keep an eye on. It is amazing. Bears now praying to get back to 20 when they were once calling for 10 or 3 or some of those crazy numbers. So I think the Bears are in a tough position right now. So it'll be pretty interesting to keep an eye on. I think pulling back to that golden pocket would be a healthy correction there. I wouldn't mind seeing that one bit, especially off after the basis raise. We know we did look at the DXY briefly this morning. We're kind of at a point where that could bounce a little bit, and obviously raising the interest rate does give the dollar a little bit more strength to bounce from there, which obviously generally pulls Bitcoin down a little bit. So it is amazing, the macro and the technicals all kind of coming together there. I wouldn't surprise me one bit to continue to pull back slightly on Bitcoin, which is good, establishing those strong supports and then starting to move up a bit from there. So I did see some of you guys' comments interesting in there for the chat. Paper Plane says, here's a comment for the YouTube piece. Smash that like button. Yeah, so if you guys, I said it at the top of the show, if you want to join us live, you have to join us on Twitch. But if you're out there in any other part of the interwebs or audioverse or wherever you are, smash the like, hit the subscribe button. I do know a lot of you guys are watching and you're not subscribed, which is just not cool.
It's awful.
So if you're going to watch, might as well subscribe.
TJ reads your comments on YouTube and responds to all of them.
I do respond to every single comment on YouTube. That is me. So yeah,
don't make him cry. Just hit smash like.
Just smash me. Come on.
Smash him.
I did see somebody else that said you also don't want to pull out too early. That always creates a sticky situation. So,
God.
Yeah. you guys are cracking. I think that was Razmataz. You guys with your comments, man, you're cracking me
And
up.
you say
but-
I'm the chaotic one.
Yeah. Well, TJ and BJ, they're not too far apart. You know.
Sometimes BJ can take even those things even further. I just want to say something. The Scott Bots says TJ is one of the most humble dudes ever. I went to the studio, and next thing you know, I'm driving my dream car. Did you let him drive the GTR?
I did. Yeah.
Dude, you are so cool, bro. Shout out to you, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to TJ. Dude, you're so cool, man. You let people drive your car. It's the coolest thing. It's one thing when someone has something really cool. It's a whole nother thing when they just let other people enjoy it as much as they do.
TJ's good at sharing.
Yeah, for real. For real.
Great.
Well, yeah, I like to share. It's all for fun, right? That's why we're all here. We're gonna share the wealth, right? Just not my Bitcoin.
TJ's a rare breed of human being for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, you're gonna make me blush. Now I don't know how to do this show anymore. This is so uncomfortable. All right, we're gonna talk about Bitcoin CME futures open interest closing in on an all-time high. And I noticed Chemistry Bro talking about this earlier in the chat. Keeping an eye on open interest is a little bit more of an advanced tactic. Or it's not that advanced, but probably for most of the people out there that are new to Bitcoin, watching what's happening on CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange. You guys have heard us talk about using the CME gap to watch some specific levels. Watching open interest. A lot of people look at Durbit as well, where a lot of big traders are, or Duribit, depending on how you want to say it. I say Durbit, clearly. But looking at the open interest, long or short, can kind of show you where big money is betting basically where the market's going to go. So just like we look at the odds on the basis points, looking at open interest, whether you got a bunch of longs or a bunch of shorts. So what Chemistry Bro was saying is he noticed a lot of the big long positions started to dwindle on the futures markets near the top. So, this is another, and just like they're starting to open up right now. So in short, Bitcoin CME futures open interest near all-time highs at 21%. Premiums for these futures is also 0.6%, meaning it's above zero for the first time since the fall of FTX. So you can see here, everything was falling, obviously, as the price was falling, and then boom, huge spike up, corrected a little bit, and then boom, another big spike up. Haven't been here in quite some time. So data from Arcane Research shows that institutional influx is growing. The total open interest in BTC futures at 21% on the CME. This value is near the all-time high figure for an exchange. Near the all-time high figure for the exchange. It notes that the figure was only higher on two previous occasions, October 2021 and late December 2022, when future-based ETFs were launched, which, again, this isn't necessarily a clear indication of one or the other direction. It's just another piece of data that you can use to keep an eye on that shows you what big traders are doing or what directions they're betting on the market going. This is occurring as Bitcoin bounces back up from its slump. The asset is up 36% this month alone, and investors are hopeful it could jumpstart a longer market recovery. Total Bitcoin open interest on futures and perpetual contracts is 9.7 billion, or about 419,000 BTC. So as we start to clear these major technical levels that Frank was just pointing out, these value area highs, these clear resistances, as we flip those into support, we're going to see traders become more confident in opening large longs. And we already know, you're on Twitter, you see people that have longs open, and they're trying to let them ride as long as they can. If you nailed a long from anywhere below 17, you're paying those funding fees, but you're trying to keep that sucker open. So because that could pay big time long term if you can afford all those fees. So that's a whole other discussion if you're a trader, is understanding fees and all that kind of stuff. So what does that say?
Aztec World. Off topic, but hey everyone, so with the ETH 2.0 fork transaction, reverting is possible, right? If that is true, and now Vitalik is saying he wants to make ETH a privacy chain, if this comes true, doesn't that mean if the central banks jump in and can run the same scams that they're running now, since transactions will be untraceable?
So basically he's saying because they forked and changed the way that basically the consensus works, it proves that they can change. Is there any scenario where banks could come in and take over, convert it to more private and run certain kind of stuff? Conceptually, yeah, that's true on almost any chain. I mean, people don't like to admit it, but all of these governance models can be changed. That's the whole point of consensus. If you get the majority to vote, you can change a variety of different things. I think that's one of Bitcoin's strongest use cases. It hasn't ever changed, and hopefully it won't ever change. But to say it can't change is just factually inaccurate. So that's why we have to be vigilant in keeping an eye on these different attack vectors. And one of the main ways to attack decentralization is from the inside out. It's pretty much the only way for a lot of these larger, more distributed projects. So that's another discussion for another day. We've talked a lot about that on previous shows. I got to get to this Cosmos stuff, or that one guy's going to be upset. So,
I'm happy to talk about Cosmos too. It's a cool project.
It is a cool. I like Cosmos. So, and we're going to talk a lot about some other things in the Cosmos ecosystem that is kind of interesting as well. But before we get to that, so hang tight, buddy. We've got these Bitcoin 6 on-chain metrics calling for generational long-term buying opportunity. The generational wealth, really, they're showing the best risk to value ratio that we've ever seen. Obviously, not saying the number one gains you could ever make. If you were buying Bitcoin in 2012 to 14, that's probably your peak. Like, you're going to get the biggest run up of Bitcoin that you ever saw. But there was obviously exceptionally higher risk back then. There was much more unproven, much less adoption, much less built on it, or distribution of it, or the nodes. So many things that made it was so much easier to go to zero back then than it is right now. Contrary to whatever that one stupid guy that was on Rogan that thinks it could go to negative. Hilariously, right after he says that, like, you show the charges, boom, a big pump. So the risk to reward is much lower on Bitcoin than it's ever been. And this is why I've been accumulating heavy in these areas. These are on-chain metrics. So we're looking at this right now. This is another thing showing the shorts or the future short liquidation. So huge spike, and obviously we get shorts getting liquidated is a big part of when we see these really quick movements. That comes to some of that open interest stuff I was just talking about here. So this is from Game of Trades. Let's see if I can zoom. There we go. Game of Trades, and I'm just going to read through this thread. It was a solid thread. We covered. I think it was a Cointelegraph made an article about it. This thread. We covered some of that on the morning stream. I don't have it pulled up here, but we'll just read this thread. Bitcoin has just witnessed the largest 24-hour short liquidation since August 2021. Obviously, the big crash happened, I believe it was June or July. So obviously a lot of people went short, and then we kind of went back to a new all-time high-ish in November.
Yep.
That happened right after all these shorts got liquidated. So could this be the start of something big? Let's look at some on-chain data. In this thread, he's going to cover 6 main things. Accumulation trends. Well, we'll cover it. Accumulation trend score shows the combination of the size of entities with respect to the number of new coins they've added/sold. Values closer to 1, i.e. in the darker colors, represent deep accumulation taking place. So this is large entities accumulating basically more Bitcoin, and
Yep.
you can see in 2018 and 2020 bottoms, here we go right here. This is basically December 2018. That was marked the bottom of the bear market. And you'll see, look at this shape here. We get that U shape and then a quick spike up. And that was the bottom of, after the 2017 market, that was the bottom of the bear market there. It did go back and retest. That was the pandemic wick here in March 12th, 2020. So this is a little bit of an anomaly. Then we went on to continue to run up here. And then you can see here, strong accumulation zone here in the dark. And we're forming this same shape right here that we had right here. Now, it's a faster time frame, faster recovery. So that's one thing to keep an eye on. But it also, the fall came a little bit later. So, but it's looking, again, very strong accumulation zone. And you'll see, these people are accumulating on big dips. And this is where you make that generational wealth. So that's one thing to keep an eye on. Bitcoin entity adjusted dormancy flow is the ratio of current market capitalization and the annualized dormancy value. The lower the value, the longer the coins are held by investors. So obviously, you know what dormant means, but the longer it sits in one place, really that means people are accumulating for the long term and just trying to build, hodl positions. Dormancy flow came down to its lowest level ever seen, and that's pretty big, guys, indicating that the speculative hands have been washed out. And you've heard me say that a few times here. The people that could sell or that would get shaken out by this pretty much all have. That's why I don't see anybody else selling. That's after the FTX crash, I don't see what's going to make more people sell other than forced selling, which we saw from the miners capitulating already. We've seen from all the bankruptcies already. We know there is some forced selling going on of like DCG and some of those shares to settle these bankruptcies. But when it comes to traditional traders and people accumulating, there's not many sellers left out there. And only the strong holders, aka holders remaining. So you can see here, same thing. 2015 crash. Anytime you're in this green range is a good time to accumulate because the black line here obviously is the price. And we're way below that green range here, which is why you've heard me screaming, 16.5, anything in the 16s, 17s, 18s, that's an undervalued way undervalued Bitcoin in my opinion. Really, I think it should have been holding closer to where we're at right now, which is in this range. I don't know. Yeah, you can't see that shares there, but 20-ish K is the bottom of this range. So when FTX happened and we went below that, this is why I was saying this is, again, the lowest level ever that this thing has ever made for, coins that aren't moving, being accumulated big time by, what do you call it, sharks, whales, etc. So this is a strong chart to show. We look at the new pool a lot, but I really, and the MVRV, which I think is one of the ones he's got in here.
Random dumb question while we're on this. Like, obviously, when everything's down, that's fantastic time to buy. If capital gains, you have to hold for more than a year. Is there pretty good data as well that typically about a year before the halving, a similar thing happens where there's a lot of buy orders?
I don't know if it's, I haven't looked at the data that specifically to really be able to give you a clear answer on that. But generally speaking, the bottom of the bear market is about a year, before the halving. It's a year from the top and then a year from the halving, so it could be coincidence or it could be a tax play there.
That chart's epic though. The one you just showed.
Yeah. I mean, it's got me pretty fired up. I was like, I guess I was buying at a good time, the best time ever, maybe.
In
You know,
that last like dip well below the value area, I
Yeah.
mean, me and Johnny were exhausted every day. We were like, is this another exchange that's gone down?
Uh-huh.
And then it just kept going. Like I think there's 30 or 35 exchanges or lending programs in a row, and it got to the point where we knew the market was numb. Like we could tell just in the the responses that we get in chat. Bringing up another thing, folding, like it was just people kind of became numb, and like you said, like people that were in it, and on top of it, their funds were locked in these procedures, basically these
bankruptcy proceedings, legal proceedings.
Exactly, you can't sell it when it's stuck there. So
Was that all going on in the same time that we hit the lowest level ever?
yeah,
Weird.
yeah, it was weird.
This is a good question here from Crypto Sub Method. I've kind of given my viewpoint on this a few different times, but I kind of want to hear from Drew and Frank on this. He said very strong points TJ is making. However, when a recession is announced and Fed says they can't print us out of the market's dump,
Well,
which that's a pretty big assumption, I would say. But I'm wondering how hard crypto will dump, especially if institutions sell risk assets. Do you have anything you want to speak to?
Oh yeah.
All right, go ahead, Drew.
We were already in a recession last year. So we have the
But it was
White House.
transitory.
They're gaslighting you. They're saying, "Hey, we're gonna avoid a recession. It's gonna fantastic." We were in a recession. Let's just get that out of the way. So, the Feds, they're essentially forced into it because of economic factors well beyond the United States. Right now, we have Western Europe that is looking to begin easing to just keep their system afloat. Japan is doing buybacks and easing to keep their situation afloat. Australia is doing easing to keep the situation afloat. So we as a country in the United States are not only the world reserve currency, but we are also the shepherds for a lot of these other nation states that are at their breaking points, and that comes into our decision making on a macroeconomic cycle.
Yeah.
So I will just say that I understand that where your logic is coming from, but the reality of the situation is that our sheep need some water. So.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Frank? Do you like any thoughts on the recession and basically, because this is not an uncommon thought. Oh, recession's coming and everybody's going to sell everything and all markets are going to crash.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely like a logical thought, right?
Sure.
And I would agree, and I'll be honest, it's the fact like what Drew just said, like we've been in a recession. I think everyone's waiting for them to say it, but like, do you think the smart money is waiting to hear it on TV?
No.
Like, you think they're sitting around waiting on their couch with the TV on, like waiting for like the announcement of a recession to come in?
They go to Davos and they talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like you got to think about that, right? Like they're not waiting for that. So if you're expecting a big dump, and I'm not saying that it won't dump, but I'm just saying if you think the smart money is going to dump on that news, that just doesn't make sense in my head because again, I doubt that they're sitting there watching TV waiting. That's not how they're trying to figure out if we're in recession or not.
Well, also in the past, and definitely correct me if I'm wrong, the crashes have caused the recessions versus we've been in a recession during crashes.
Yes. Generally speaking, yes. That's kind of what I think we talked about it yesterday. What I like to point out is markets front run the reality. So we've been experiencing recession. To Frank's point, smart money knows this, and they've been taking action to prepare for this. That's why we've already seen a lot of the layoffs. That's why we've seen a lot of people sitting on cash. We've seen cash positions growing. We've seen people selling risk assets. And then what happens? They crash, and what does the smart money do? They start to reposition themselves for when the recovery happens, which again, they're front running that. And that recovery might take a year, it might take 2 years, it might take 5 years. Obviously we're in crypto and I see that as the growth sector. We know that when you're investing these days, you have to outpace inflation. I don't think it's a slam dunk that we don't come back to printing our way out of this problem. We've done it time and time again. I think all they have to do is appease the right people and make it not too obvious. They're going to give you some double talk. Like they're going to, somebody said, gaslight you, double speak you. They're not going to let the economy be abysmal when they go to the voting booths because that's just not part of their plan. And so I think people are well positioned now. They've cut down a lot of their risk, and they're going to be looking, though, for those growth assets in the future, which traditionally has been tech. And now we know, tech hasn't hit as major growth points as they'd like to outpace a lot of this inflation. It's still been growing very quickly. We know AI, so the new growth sectors we're looking at, and I think smart money as well, blockchain companies, AI companies, gaming, all still have growth and upward trajectory. with much lower risk now than they once had. So I think we'll start to see those things repositioning. But great question.
I would add personalized medicine to that as well.
Medicine.
Yeah.
Or health, you could say, maybe. You know.
That's a very reasonable question.
Yeah.
And, I understand the mindset. It's just there's a lot of other factors that play into it now.
There's so many. That's what's so fun to look. That's why it's fun to consider all this stuff. And that's why I always do your own research, come up with, like, if you still believe that, if you think everything we just said was BS, like, more power to you. You know, make your own choices, put your money where you want, take action the way you feel is best for you and your family. We just take all of this information in and formulate our plans. I'm a big believer in on-chain metrics. I'm a big believer in the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin. I'm a big believer in supply and demand being the driver of economics. And so that's why I make the decisions I make. And you're free to do whatever you want. You know,
Actually, I'm going to look up the Carl Sagan quote, but I just wanted to bring it up. If you think everything we're saying is BS, that's actually a good thing because that's a learning opportunity. So you either find out what we're saying is factual or you educate yourself and then can potentially educate us later. But like, always question things. Like,
Absolutely.
there's nothing wrong with questioning. Giving false information, that's completely different.
That's mainstream news. No, just kidding. Big Hands Dan said, I don't think markets have fully realized the transfer into blockchain. Think early 90s /.com. Yeah, I think that could be true. Could be true. Could be maybe not early 90s, maybe mid 90s. But what were we going to say, Frank?
I was just going to say, you were just talking about on-chain metrics, and shout out to Red Robles. He said, do as they do, not as they say. And that is fat. Louder for the people in the back, Red.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Follow the money. Follow the data. Use that information, and abstract as much data as you can and use that information to make your decision. Don't listen to the talking heads like us. Do
you want this quote? I got it.
Yeah, hit me.
Now, I can't read out loud, but oh God, I love Carl Sagan. So if we are not able to ask skeptical questions, to interrogate those who tell us that something is true, to be skeptical of those in authority, then we're up for grabs for the next charlatan, political or religious that comes ambling along.
100% agree.
God, he's so good.
Yeah. And that's why critical thinking, #1 skill you can have in today's world, this post-truth world. You need to be able to think and decide for yourself. Don't take anything at face value. Question most things, almost everything, I would say.
Yep.
And think. Think, guys. Don't just react to what we do. Don't just copy us. Don't
but
just
also
say,
back to all of our confirmational biases.
Yeah.
If you do get new information, don't stick in your old paradigm. Like, if you need to change your thought processes, do so.
Yes.
There you go. Again, we're going to roll through a couple more of these on-chain metrics here because I just think they're very good. Bitcoin reserve risk, we've talked about this a lot, is used to assess the confidence of long-term holders relative to the price of Bitcoin. Low values indicate high confidence and low prices. Again, reserve risk is at the lowest it's supposed to ever seen or never seen before in Bitcoin's entire history. Conviction amongst long-term Bitcoin holders doesn't get any better than this, which again, like you guys can see this.
We're not leaving.
Yeah, we're here. We're not going anywhere. We're not selling. This is the zone right here, the green zone. And again, this is why so many people thought 20K previous all-time high, myself included. I thought that was going to hold. I was not expecting us to break down below that. The FTX fear did push us down, not as far, which again shows to seller exhaustion. But again, we're below this level, lowest it's ever been. So again, 20K, that's why I say best time to buy ever. If you get another opportunity to buy under 20K, I'm going in pretty hard.
Yeah.
I got most of my stuff in below 20K. Got a little in like 2,500, so not too bad. But still plenty of opportunities out there. Anywhere in this zone is fine. And I think this is probably going all the way up to like 29 right here. So and again, this is where this range that I keep talking about between 20 and 28 is coming from. A lot of these key levels here, but they're also very macro on-chain levels as well. So I'm a lot more of a macro, I guess, in case you guys can't tell, macro guy than a lot of the TA that Frank does. I'm learning a lot by watching what Frank does, but those shorter time frames, I'm more of a long-term guy. But Bitcoin realized price is the average cost basis at which all the Bitcoins were purchased. This is another one I like to look at. That's kind of like what you hear me talking about, where those volume levels are. When the current price is below the average price, it's marked generational buying opportunities. Bitcoin is currently hovering around its realized price, making it yet another exceptional buying opportunity. So here this one is. Let's see, pull this one up, make it a little bigger here. Again, this is back in 2015, this bear market here, generational buying opportunity. December 2018, early 2019, generational buying opportunity, retesting it in 2019. And here's that run up that I keep talking about that I think could happen for us in the middle of this year. This is where we went all the way down to, I think, 3,200 right there, climbed back to about, this is about 6K. It stayed between 6 and 7, broke out to 10, went all the way up to 14, came all the way back down, stayed between 6 and 7, and then 30.
I think we could get another one of those little last minute entry points.
I think we can too. And I really pull that back up real quick, BJ. I really think this right here is where we're at right here, right now. We're right in the middle of this, and this is why I keep thinking we can run back up to, if we break through 28 in the middle of this year, again, if we stop raising interest rates, if we say anything about printing again, a lot of people predicting a run up to above 30, not quite to 40, but we know that's another key level where a lot of Bitcoin's traded hands is that 40K level.
I mean, they're going to print.
They're going to print.
Well, put it this way. If I talked about knowing your history in yesterday's episode, if you know the history of the United States, when have they not?
Yeah. They do it more so during a conflict too. And I think that conflict that's going on right now there's going to be a shocking, and I think that's going to be the dip, and then bam from there. So I'm sorry to say it, but that's what I see happening on.
I mean, the U.S. is probably going to be making some money.
Look at the
manufacturing.
Just chart out the conflict and the Dow Jones, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Well, again, they're incentivized. Like, that's the other thing to think about, incentives. I think it's Charlie Munger says, tell me the incentives and I'll tell you the outcome. And that's pretty, now the U.S., once they get this stuff set up with the digital currency, digital dollar, USDC being used all over the world, they have an incentive to pump crypto up, because the more they pump digital assets, the more people get exposure to USDC, which creates more demand for the dollar, which allows them to print more. So it's self-servicing cycle here, where if we print and push these assets up and then make it available to everybody else in the world, like we talked about, they don't have to go in and destabilize your economy anymore. They can just put the dollar right next to your whatever you have in Vietnam or some of these other currencies. And you can see, like, people love dollars in high inflation economies, and they'll start to put their savings in dollars, which gets more demand for the dollar, which again allows them to print more. So
do you think the next large printing will be a traditional actual paper printing, and then they're going to match that with a digital, or the next big one will be digital?
Good question.
I think it's traditional. I
Yeah.
don't think they're ready for. I don't think they're going to be ready for CBDCs until 2025.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm getting at, is a big print into that and then match that with CDBCs.
CB. I think they will print. Yeah. I mean, pretty much.
Or USDC.
When we're saying print, guys, they're not literally printing paper anymore. It's all digital already. They just go into the computer and add a zero. So they'll do that. They'll put more into the supply. Because there's gonna be a liquidity crunch, and that was part of. I don't know if we're gonna have time to get into it today, but the Mandrake effect the Mandrake mechanism we were talking about, debt-based system, Austrian versus Keynesian economics. The Mandrake mechanism is basically how they create more wealth. Which again, if you guys are Austrian economics, that people don't. Wealth isn't created or destroyed; it's just transferred. A lot of people believe that.
Right.
And I'm one of those people. So, they create more debt, which again puts more liquidity into the system. And I don't think we're going to have time to dig into that today, but
would chat want us to do an episode literally on Mandrake, Keynesian, and Austrian economics?
Yeah.
Like, just an episode on that.
Put a yes in the chat if you want to hear a whole episode on Austrian, Keynesian, and the Mandrake mechanism, or basically that's the central bank mechanism for creating more money. All right.
And I think that would actually be fun in the future. Is if we say next Thursday we're going to do that, and then on Tuesday we give out like questions and have people submit specific questions, and then so we can actually have a lot more of a back and forth narrative.
Yeah.
Not that this isn't a really good back and forth narrative, but so people can kind of be ready for it.
Absolutely. We could compare the lifespans of fiat and the implementations of where Mandrake has been
Right on the edge
used
of that.
and kind of show that history. Absolutely. I think that'd be very useful. That's the forest through the trees, looking at the whole forest rather than just a tree type conversation. I think a lot of people could use to understand this whole asset class and why we're involved with it in the first place.
And Corey
Absolutely.
Harden, I think we would have to do that for any of it to make sense.
Yeah. And I got plenty of conspiracies to throw in there, Corey. Don't worry, man.
You got conspiracies.
Yeah, and Crimson Caravan Company, you're not very good at following instructions. Your vote doesn't count.
Oh,
Okay.
I said say yes. Okay, doesn't tell me anything. I'm just messing with you.
Shout out to Paper Planes, who said, Frankie helped me pay off debt.
Hey,
Yeah,
let's go.
shout out to Paper Planes. I will listen. I can make a million.
I do love that.
I could make $1 million and it on one trade, and it wouldn't ever be as valuable as that is to me. That is great to hear. Shout out to Paper Planes. Congrats, bro. You did it, man. Not me. You're the one putting the trades in. So let's go.
Shout out to
crying,
Frankie Candles, another super cool,
Yeah, shout out
super humble,
Frankie
super awesome
Candles.
guy. Does it for the people. Love that guy. So
Thank you.
yeah, if you're not following Frankie Candles, what's your problem? Go follow his channel right now. I don't care if you have to leave this stream. Go follow his channel right now. Subscribe to him. Turn on notification bells. Get in his Discord because that's some of the those are some of the happiest people in crypto. I will say that.
Yeah.
That community is a lot of really fun, cool, happy people. They don't care if the price is going up or going down. They're making money. They're having a good time. They're making jokes. So. Yeah, get in there. You're missing out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Similar to the basement. I said that last time we were on the show. I'm like, dude, this community is like such happy, good people. Everyone's just talking in chat. You could see like everyone saying what's up to each other. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so
Basement
cool.
community, right there with Frankie Candles. So
Love
yeah,
you
we love
guys.
all you guys. But all right,
Question, wait. I have a question from the Mantis, Ohio. So I have 0 Bitcoin, 0 ETH, 20K XRP, 20K ADA, and a scattering of other alts. DCA into Bitcoin and ETH or DCA into alts?
What's your plan?
there you go. BJ said it. He took the words out of my mouth. What is your plan?
Yeah.
What's your target?
I know what I'm.
Short term. Do you have more powder on the side? Do you want 100x? Do you want a 2x? Are you happy with just beating inflation? Like, we got a lot of questions for you.
Set your goal, understand your goal, and then if you're coming from a small bag and you're trying to be really aggressive and get really, really good expansion, probably stronger alts are going to be the better move. Honestly, that's in my opinion. But if you already have BTC and ETH and you're starting to expand, probably the same situation. But if you have a lot of money and you're trying to retain that and you're okay with a 2x like Bitcoin, Ethereum, that's my opinion. But I'd be holding on to those.
Yeah, and that everybody's and I could kind of take the other point if you're looking at kind of to my point of Bitcoin dominance, and I would put Ethereum as it's kind of a pseudo alt. I don't really consider it an altcoin anymore. It's very strong. It's kind of separated itself from a lot of the other altcoins. So if you're my friend or family, I'm telling you to DCA into Bitcoin and Ethereum as hard as you can. And then we'll talk about alts after the halving. But right now, get you a stack of Bitcoin, get you a stack of Ethereum. You're not gonna have a bad time. You're not gonna lose. I mean, if you look at all of those charts I just showed you, those are strictly for Bitcoin. They're not. There's a lot of altcoins right now that can get wrecked through this process as Bitcoin chops along. Like I said, a lot of altcoins still have a lot further to fall. Now, if you're experienced, tech, you want to take some shots on altcoins, I won't fault you one bit. But I'll tell you what I'm doing is heavy Bitcoin, heavy Ethereum, and maybe some small spec alt plays. But really, I know, a lot of that alt stuff is going to pay off into the future. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to roll it into Bitcoin and Ethereum anyway, so.
Maybe do both.
Right.
I would do both.
There you go.
I mean, I'm doing alts, but because I want to, get a 10x or a 20x, but that's just me.
Yeah. No, a lot of people do. It was what were we talking about literally upstairs before the thing is like, I tell so many people, buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum. And they're like, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Nah, those are done. I'm looking for, something lower to get those big pumps. And very understandable sentiment. All I can say is based on the experience I had in the market so far in this part of the cycle, which we're in right now, which isn't really a pump part of it, isn't really a dump part of it. It's just kind of the sideways chop boring.
Yep.
I've seen Bitcoin and Ethereum perform the best. And then again, and you can still find alts. Like, again, we're going to dig into this Cosmos stuff right now. I know BJ's a big fan of the Cardano ecosystem. So if you like Cardano and you want to not just buy Cardano, but you want to look at other projects being built on Cardano, there's some big gains to be had there if you're ahead of that curve.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same thing here with Cosmos, which is why I'm interested in it, looking at what's
Do we really need to talk about Cosmos?
Yeah.
The guy said he was never coming back.
No, he's here. Yes.
He's definitely here.
We have a lot of,
Definitely
Cosmos
Yeah.
people in the chat.
No,
I know
he's
that's
here.
part of why I pick. I like Cosmos. They like Cosmos. So
And I understand why, man. There's a lot of potential with the thing.
let's see what Chemistry Bro says. I got 0.12 BTC and around 32 ETH. Haha, I see no point in buying BTC when I'm looking for percentage gains, and ETH is going to do really well based on my analysis. And that's another. See, exactly. That's a different plan there. A lot of people feel like ETH is going to make up ground on Bitcoin this year due to the way the burn mechanism works right now. The tokenomics are extremely strong on Ethereum. So perfectly great strategy. I'm a lot heavier Ethereum than Bitcoin myself. That's partially why I want to get a little bit more Bitcoin. And again, it depends on what phase of your investing process you're in too. Like, are you trying to set stuff aside for 10 years? I think Bitcoin's probably the only thing safe to do that with. Ethereum, all the other ones, who knows?
Right.
But big percentage gains to be had on almost everything down the line. So again, just use your own assessment there. Okay, there were more on-chain metrics we'll get into, the MRVR and some of that kind of stuff. I just retweeted it because we're going to run short on time if I try to hit all 6 of them. So if you guys want to find the rest of those charts, just go check out Hit Network on Twitter. Or is it just Hit Network? Yeah. Hit Network _ is the actual @, or it'll say TJ Hit Network. And that's where you'll find those. So, all right.
He's like the best publication on Twitter.
Who, me?
Yeah. Well,
there's a lot of really good stuff on Twitter.
I don't know.
I just retweet a lot.
You're on there though all the time, paying attention. Like I'll see him there
that is
on like
true.
1
I find a lot of
a.m.,
stuff.
2 a.m. Yeah, he's always
I
going.
can
Yeah,
attest.
you've
It's all the
pointed me
time.
to countless gold accounts on Twitter. I feel like you're always showing me like the hidden gems on Twitter for sure.
Hey,
Like
it was
fucked up
it used to
looking
be a lot
cars?
easier when there was not so much noise on there.
Yeah, right. That's right.
So I just follow, find what you should do is find accounts that have been doing this for a long time. Pre 2017, if you can. Obviously the Kobe's out there. Don Alt might have gotten in. He's a long time trader. I don't know when he started trading Bitcoin, but Crypto Don Alt, Traders Main. I like, a lot of the traders, they can be a little aggressive, but they put a lot of good stuff out there. So not Capo. Sorry, Big Hands Dan. Not Capo. Not a fan of that one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's a parody account or not though. I'm trying
Thank
to
you.
It might be a parody.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And pineapple belongs on pizza.
Only.
No.
Okay.
Wait, where's real quick poll before we move on. Like, we don't need to
Nope.
spend too much time.
I
So
already said it. That's all that matters.
BJ says pineapple
You're
belongs on
wrong.
pizza.
Well, I'm right.
Frank, New York. What do you think? Pineapple on pizza.
I mean, as a New Yorker, no.
Wrong.
Absolutely
You'll
not.
get mutinied.
Yeah, but I mean, if you get Domino's or something, Domino's isn't really considered actual pizza. So if you want to
Facts.
put pineapple on that, that's fine.
Yeah,
It does.
That's a great. I'll agree 100% with Frank's take. Real pizza, not a chance. I prefer like a margarita. Like, you're talking a real margarita pizza with some good. Keep that stuff well away. But I did grow up eating trash Domino's pizza as a child.
Yeah.
That we ordered a Hawaiian pizza almost every single week to watch the Falcons on Sunday. So
I'm about to ban the entire chat.
No, I agree.
No,
Real-
no.
real pizza has no business on there.
Yeah,
Allie,
no
Allie,
way.
what's your take?
Absolutely not.
I flew straight to the center of Manhattan, and the first thing I bought was a pineapple pizza.
Oh my!
That's
All right, everybody else out.
Yeah,
Drew and I will
Wrong.
finish the show.
yeah, right. Drew, we're gonna have some conversations later. But all right, so this was a little bit of an interesting take here. Sonny, obviously, he's a little bit biased. He's co-founder of Osmosis Zone, builder on Cosmos, co-host of Epicenter BTC, Undercover Bitcoin Maxi, which you can't really be a Bitcoin Maxi if you're talking about anything other than
It's
Bitcoin.
so
Sorry,
true.
hate to break it to you, but that's part of what being a Bitcoin Maxi is. He would maybe fit in my category of what I call maximalish.
Yeah.
Meaning very strong
Maximalish.
Bitcoin bull, but you still see value in other technologies and things beyond just gold. Well, what are you laughing at?
We're uncomfortable.
Oh,
with
yeah,
each
because I
other.
moved over. They're saying
Yeah.
Frank looks uncomfortable next
Yeah.
to Drew now.
Sorry.
Exactly. So this is interesting, though. He said basically he called Osmo, which I know if you guys are into Cosmos, you probably know what Osmo is. He said Osmo is the BTC of Cosmos. Everything is paired with Osmo, and this is something I noticed changing over, from 2017 to now. You've probably heard me talk about it before. On almost all exchanges, it used to be everything was paired to Bitcoin, right? You had to buy Bitcoin, and then if you wanted Ethereum, you'd swap your BTC for a BTC ETH pair,
Yep.
and then so on and so forth. And then they had all these ICOs and all these ERC20s. They were all paired to Ethereum. So then basically every coin was either paired to Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is again why we see the flows of Bitcoin Ethereum pump. People take profits on those, go to the lower cap coins, they roll those profits back in, and it's kind of a cycle into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then down the line, and then back out. And then when stable coins came into play, things changed quite dramatically, and we started seeing everything being paired to stables. Again, things that required people to hold the dollar. Very interestingly, if you look at a lot of US exchanges like Binance US, forced not just to pair to stables, but to pair to actual USD. That's regulation. That's governments trying to prop up the dollar, create demand for the dollar, which again, this is why I see that macro trend of using USDC to create that demand. So
Absolutely.
this is interesting. Osmo being paired with everything in the Cosmos ecosystem. I'm going to hit a couple more stories to show the money flowing into the DeFi in that system. We know it's going to have we know DeFi is going to be strong in the next cycle. But this was basically, he's sharing, oh man, someone's max bidding Cosmos ecosystem, or max bidding Osmo and dragging everything with it. Haven't looked at the deck screener or volume yet, but look, this is where basically somebody noticed somebody just straight max buying all these things in all at one time, sending them up in a straight line. What are you guys laughing at the pizza
I was
stuff?
laughing at Sofa King.
Sofa King says, I'm fat as hell. I don't care what you put in the pizza. I'm going to eat it. You could probably spread cat food under that thick layer of cheese. And I'd be like, dang, this is interesting. Yeah.
I love the texture.
Yeah. Sofa King, we appreciate you, man.
That made me
You know,
laugh.
that's a good one. We love some good humor in here. So, it was definitely designed to kind of trigger some people. And now there is some issues here. And if you guys are familiar with Atom Cosmos, there is some issues with the inflation rate, with the tokenomics aren't great right now, which I'm seeing as an opportunity because they had a proposal to change this stuff that didn't get voted on in the last voting cycle, but I think it will get voted through in the next voting cycle. Which, again, if people are waiting to see if that's going to happen, once it does, I think you'll see some bullish momentum after that. So
it'll probably be voted on in two different things, though, I think they're going to do the scheduler in one vote and then the allocator in the next one. I think they're going to kind of have to split it up because of how the reaction they got from it was. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that it's not going to happen. It's just going to be more stagnated and better explained and kind of separated the votes essentially because they couldn't do both at the same time was the biggest gripe that I saw with it. So.
Right. It was just too. It was too much to implement all at once.
Right.
And they basically just kicked it down the road a little bit.
Yeah.
Might be timing wise, like they might be trying to be strategic there with like wait till we get into a little bit more of a confirmed bull run to announce the bullish news. We know. I think Cosmos sitting around 20-ish on CoinMarketCap if I remember right. Man, I'm good. 20 on the dot.
Hey.
So, it was a big run up from last, I think it launched in 2018. I bought some, I think 2019-ish, somewhere between $2 to $5, in that range. I think it was $2 to $4 maybe. And it obviously had a really big run up market cap wise. It got all the way up into the, again, top 20 sitting there right now. Some of these other, layer zeros or layer ones or protocols to be built on top of, I think are things to watch. Phantom, you've heard me mention a few times. That's another altcoin I'm waiting for a little bit more of a pullback on. I haven't seen it yet, but if we can see, Phantom, some of the altcoins to accumulate are things that we think we're going to have strong DeFi. And we know here, Injunctive protocol, we know is there's other channels that are a fan of this thing. INJ, I think they picked it to be a big winner in the past, which it didn't necessarily pan out. But the reason they are is because there's a lot of big VC money behind it.
Right.
We know that channel's backed by Goldman Sachs, and that's part of how they select some of their projects. And so this is interesting. Injective launching $150 million ecosystem fund to boost DeFi Cosmos adoption. DeFi has proven to be a resilient and reliable option for users in the face of overreaching CeFi collapse in 2022. You've heard us talk about that a lot. That's why we think DeFi is going to be strong. Injunctive is the layer 1 blockchain protocol founded in 2018. It's launched a $150 million ecosystem to fund support for developing and building on the Cosmos network. And again, I prefer to find the lowest level layer to accumulate and not try to bet on specific protocols being built on top of them. That's why I like Ethereum a lot more than I like a lot of the dApps. That's why I like Cosmos more than I like INJ. Not saying INJ couldn't pump more and you couldn't have a higher gain. You just, in my opinion, you have lower risk. And I do know the software development kit of Cosmos seems to be a favorite of a lot of developers. Following the money is following the developers is another trick, kind of like following the money. Where the developers go, the money follows, etc. Which is what we're seeing right here. It says Injunctive, also known as Injunctive Protocol, is a decentralized smart contract platform built using the Cosmos SDK or software development kit that promotes faster and more cost-effective infrastructure than Ethereum. Cosmos provides more versatility, customization options, and horizontal scalability than other blockchains. That's part of that tech piece that attracts different people to it. Cosmos has market capitalization, roughly $3.7 billion, making it 20th on blockchain network, 20th largest blockchain network on CoinMarketCap. Then we've got another story here, very similar Cosmos-based DeFi protocol. Quasar raises another $5.4 million, basically the same concept. Venture capital firm led the round to a $70 million valuation. It's basically saying the same thing. They're planning to use build structure investments products on DeFi, starting with an automatically rebalancing index of the Cosmos ecosystem that supports the staking of assets. After months of private testing, Quasar will open its public testnet February 10th. Securing this funding, giving ongoing difficult market conditions, is massive show of confidence and significant reaffirmation of the partners' commitment to the common goal, making non-custodial and permissionless asset management available to all. And this is something, again, you've heard me say this a lot. I think decentralized exchanges are going to be strong. I think DeFi trading is going to start to complement CeFi or TradeFi more and more and more as time goes on. As the products get better and the liquidity gets better and the options get better, the more robust this DeFi ecosystem is going to be. I've been in crypto a long time. I haven't seen any stronger use case than DeFi. So follow the money and you'll find the gains eventually.
Corey Harden also says it's Carl Sagan's #1 pick.
Who's Carl Sagan?
Who wrote Cosmos,
Yeah.
the book?
Yeah.
Oh, got it.
It was
Oh,
good.
God.
It was
Hey,
good.
I'm terrible with names and all that kind of stuff. So
There's a lot of firms in here, though. Pantera Capital, Kraken Ventures,
Yeah.
Jump Crypto, and we're going to get trolled. It's Injective Protocol.
Well,
What
Yeah,
was I saying?
I saw that.
was I saying injunctive?
Yeah.
Injective.
Dave said, is he saying injunctive?
Yeah. Yeah, my bad. Yeah. And injective protocol.
well,
for the
Pantera
podcast.
Capital works on the dime bag layer 1 protocol.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Well, if you guys don't know, if you guys don't know, Jump, Kraken, Pantera. Didn't you say one other one?
Yeah, Jump, KuCoin Ventures, Delphi,
Delphi.
IDG.
Those are all huge VC
Yeah.
firms when it comes to crypto. And again, we know big money behind it, VC money behind it. Again, all of these guys, same people in Aptos, same people that are in kind of everything. But those names, are names to pay attention to. What you got, Frank?
I was just going to say someone, Crypto Mike said, check out API 3.
Yeah, same.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
the same.
Was that
Look,
your deep pick? Your deep
No.
pick?
These are Coin Bureau's picks from 2021, 2020.
Gotcha.
I mean, same. If you go look at his top 5, it's AP. Some people say API 3. INJ was one of his picks, and again, it's because this is where they're putting their money.
Right.
And again, that doesn't always pan out. Where VC money where big money goes doesn't always pan out, but it's something to keep an eye
He's
on.
run by Goldman
Goldman.
Sachs. Are they trying to get the money in for exit liquidity and then sell the top on you? I'm kidding.
You never
That's
know.
some like 40 chess shit.
No,
but
it is.
maybe.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why it's interesting to see what they pick, when they pick it, how they pick it. And obviously, they want their audience to make money. I'm not trying to throw any shade. I'm just saying. I mean, these are just facts. Like that Coin Bureau is run by 2 Goldman Sachs or ex Goldman Sachs executives, and they've contracted. I think the guy's name is Guy. to be the face in the camera. He's a nice guy. I mean, nothing against him.
So
It's
what,
just,
Nick Puckerin or Nick Puckerin.
is that his really his name?
I always forget how to say
I don't know. I don't want to go too much into all of this, but they do a good job on a lot of reviews and they get a lot of information out there, and a lot of people love that channel. I know there's people in our research group that love, they do deep dives on different projects.
He's got a great accent. I like
yeah, the accent makes a lot of people trust you.
It does. It does.
It's part
it's
of it.
entertaining.
It is.
I mean,
well,
it is.
entertaining. I don't know about that.
Well,
Very robotic, in my opinion. But
I mean, I'm on the spectrum, so it's entertaining to me.
I have some questions. Can we do a few questions?
Absolutely. Let's do
Rapid
some
fire
questions.
style.
Rapid
was
fire.
question
real
number 1.
fast. This was a little bit earlier, but Mr. Mojo Ryzen, don't buy alts until Bitcoin dominance gets close to 50%? Question mark.
I mean, that's part of my strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying. With Bitcoin Bitcoin's going to if history holds true, Bitcoin will be the bigger winner here because it's going to pump, money's going to pump into, especially if new money starts coming, which we haven't really started to see yet.
Right.
A lot of what we're seeing is money coming out of stables, money that's already in the ecosystem being redeployed. But as Bitcoin moves up to that 50% range, when it pulls back, alts generally pull back more, which we've just saw for the first time here just the other day. Not a bad strategy is my take.
Yeah, when
Metal-
it hit 15.5.
Well, hold on. Let's let other people answer.
No, I don't know. I just want to comment when Bitcoin hit 15.5, we saw a lot of stuff at like 96, 97% down. And I went absolutely haywire at that moment. So
Yeah, I mean,
Hell yeah.
I put it this way. I made a lot of mistakes chasing alts in 2019, thinking they'd bottomed, and they definitely hadn't bottomed. I'm talking, and then when they did, you really knew, like, oh gosh, then you were scared to buy them because you didn't think they were ever going to come back. But what's your take on that, Frank?
The dominance thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good idea for me. I've been accumulating. I don't remember the exact month, but if anyone here watches the channel, I've been accumulating for a few months now. But mostly, I get everybody in the comments. You idiot! The alts are going to drop 95%. I was like, calm down. It's Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't really consider. I consider Ethereum an altcoin, but I consider it the king altcoin, so it is a little bit different. But mostly Bitcoin and Ethereum. I am still waiting on alts. I will say this last little pump. Just like, okay, might be time to start accumulating those alts, but
FOMO kicks in so fast.
It does, and I tell people this all the time. We talk about emotion a lot on my channel because obviously that's one of the most dangerous things for trading. And I tell people like, guys, I have removed the emotion from my trading for the most part. However, that does not mean that I don't feel them. Like I felt crazy FOMO. Like I'm in the market right now, but I want it to go back down so I can deploy the rest of my capital. And I feel the FOMO. I'm not reacting off of it. I didn't buy anything at the top of this pump. But I definitely feel like I'm missing out 100%. But I was doing this with Tony D last night. He was kind of feeling like he's like, yeah, man. It's like I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna miss the bottom and all this stuff. Long story short, I was just like, showing him on the chart, like, just zoom out, man. Yep. We're like 40-something% from the bottom. So like, if that was the actual bottom, we're only up, like, we're not up that much. And even if you bought at the top of this pump, you are still essentially buying the bottom of the bear market if the bottom is already in. So just remember that, guys. When in doubt, zoom out.
Absolutely. And Chemistry Bro, great counterpoint there. Also, if you didn't buy some alts, you might have missed some multi-100% gains so far in the last 2 weeks. Just saying. And that's true. Don't marry your bags. And this comes back time and time again to your plan, your strategy. So if I'm buying alts, what I'm generally doing is to accumulate for more than a year. So I'm waiting to do that right now. But if you're trying to say, hey, everything feels oversold, I think we're due for a Bitcoin pump. When Bitcoin pumps, I think some of these things are going to pump harder and I'm going to take those profits immediately. Totally different strategy. Yep. So that's, again, why you have to decide for yourself what works for you.
Matt Illuminati asks, do you feel that people will get money back off of BlockFi?
Yes, but not a lot.
Right, anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the same, but it's a matter of time. Like, how much time are they going to have to wait? Like, if they only get a little bit and it's in the return of the bull, that might feel like a lot of bit by then. So that might not be that bad of a deal.
Well, it also depends if they get back in dollar value or crypto.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah. I just want to say something real quick. Someone said, I think it was Manawalk said, what about that Sol bag, Frankie? Actually, funny story. So I DCA'd into Sol right after it basically, right before it basically went to zero. And now it's up a little bit more, but obviously still crushed on that bag. But I realized last time I was on the basement, when we were talking about Solana, I actually pulled up my KuCoin account and I completely forgot that when Solana dumped, I actually bought Solana 3x pre-leveraged tokens and I made all the money back plus some.
Hey, let's go.
I completely forgot about it.
Nice.
And so there we go. We're back up, kinda.
You'll hear me say it all the time. It's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right, Beautiful Disaster said, is now still a good time to accumulate strong alts like ADA, Algo, HBAR, etc.?
Rewind the last 5 minutes, watch it again.
Yep.
Yeah, we just answered. We answered.
Isn't that an AFI song?
Which
no,
one?
Beautiful Thieves. Never mind.
Yeah.
Beautiful Disaster.
The short answer is yes.
Yeah, I had a short answer. Yes and no. Yeah. I mean, it depends on your strategy.
All right. And this one's for Drew. Budget Baller said, anyway, can we talk about a good way to exchange silver into Bitcoin?
JM bullion.
Simple.
Well, actually, you got to take your silver to a dealer, a physical dealer in town, or you have to sell your silver for fiat and then just purchase it. Like, there's no easy way to do that. It's only easy to just give Bitcoin or Ethereum to JM bullion and then receive the actual gold. But vice versa, you have to go to a physical store, in my experience, and then move your money into your account and then kind of move from there. So,
all right, last question. Chief Grizzly said, I think we're all curious, what are you guys' top 3 heavy positions right now other than Bitcoin, ETH, and ADA?
Yeah, real quick, I'm going to hit this guy too. Will Gemini customers ever get their coins back from Genesis? I will say yes. They will, again, not 100%. Just like any of these insolvencies, I don't think anybody's really getting 100% back. Right. But I think Genesis customers or Gemini customers will get more back than BlockFi, likely more back than Voyager, FTX. I think they're in a better position. I think Voyager's not in a bad position with the Binance acquisition. BlockFi is in a really weird spot right now because they came out today. They had a lot more exposure to FTX than they were telling people. They literally lied, and they had a redacted file that was. Yeah, they had a redacted document that proved that they were liars. That got accidentally uploaded unredacted. Which again, some of that stuff. How does that happen? But why was it supposed to be redacted to begin with? God,
we got Volt too, man. We got Volt. Like there's so many exchanges there.
Yeah, so many. So yeah, I think they will. Gemini actually is closing my account and isn't telling me why. That's interesting. So yeah, I think yes, Gemini earned customers will get. They're in a much better position according to that, and and that should happen sooner rather than later, probably mid this year, May, June. You know, according to what I've read so far about the bankruptcy proceedings. But again, I ain't no attorney, so that was the last one.
Yeah.
There was. All right. Did you pull that up, Frank? Chemistry Bro?
Yeah. Yep.
Chemistry Bro. Frankie, question for you. What do you think of Aptos bull run pendant 1 hour looking? Oh, I just lost it. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, no, so I know what he's talking about. BJ, you could actually share my screen if you want.
Okay. Tell me how to live my life.
So yeah, Kembro, I do see what you're looking at here. Does look like some bullish consolidation. Bear with me, I'm looking at this kind of for the first time here. But I am seeing blood diamonds start to flash on these lower time frames. Some 12-minute, 10-minute blood diamond was just flashing like 2 seconds ago. You know, not too alarming, but looking at the 4-hour VWAP is cooling off.
He's looking at a low time frame, he said.
Low time, yeah. So I do see what you're looking at there. Yeah, he's looking at this bull pennant right here. This definitely does look like bullish consolidation
Was it
to
like
me.
a triple top almost?
Well, yeah, you are kind of dealing with you're dealing. It's or actually more of an ascending triangle than anything there. Yeah. The difference between a bullish pennant and an ascending triangle, guys, is that the ascending triangles typically have a flat level of resistance on top. However, this candle does come up a little more. It is definitely looking like bullish consolidation. They're both basically bullish consolidation. This is looking pretty bullish in a structure, in the aspect of structure. However,
he said he is seeing a 4-hour bear div.
Yeah, 4 hour could potentially give you a bearish divergence here. That VWAP is rolling over as well. So me personally, granted, that does on the lower time frames, that looks like a textbook long right there. But and I'm not saying it can't play out, but because the VWAP is actually coming down and has already kind of flopped like that, I would be very cautious personally for me taking that trade. But doesn't mean you shouldn't take it.
No, and speaking to that caution, I think another word of caution, especially when you're doing TA on alts, is you can have the perfect TA setup on an altcoin and Bitcoin does something, and then obviously, you know, the altcoin reacts to Bitcoin, and that TA setup is completely invalidated. And that might be, you know, what you're talking when you're looking at the VWAP down there. It could be kind of alluding to something like that, money flow coming out, meaning, you know, money's going to be exiting the market.
Yeah,
so.
Bitcoin kind of looked bearish with the money flow. That was a lesson I had to learn really, really hard. Was kept trying to trade those alts, and it looked like the best setup ever, and then Bitcoin would just flip around, go the other way, and the alt would just follow, and I would get wrecked.
Yeah, so I always say start your TA with Bitcoin, especially like so if Bitcoin's setting up to be bullish, then you start just like you work down the time frames, do the same thing, work down to the lower alts. You know, Bitcoin setting up bullish. Okay, now I'm going to start looking at those lower alts. Oh man, great setup, great setup, great setup. I'm going to long 2 or 3 of these things, and then boom, it all moves. You're making big money. You know, but you got to be careful if you start. It'd be like it's very similar to time frames if you want to think of it in another way.
It's an amazing way to explain.
Yeah, because if you look up at it, it's setting up great on the 15-minute, but the 4-hour looks bad. You know, that the 4-hour could very clearly invalidate the 15-minute or whatever. Yeah. So, last thing I did want to mention here on Cosmos. This was actually the one I knew I was missing a story, but I teased it yesterday. Cosmos Hub reaps the benefits of Terra's new update. In an announcement on January 20th, Terra/Lunacy stated that it would launch its lending protocol known as Mars on the Cosmos Hub network. This move could have positive impact on Cosmos DeFi sector. So again, yet another DeFi protocol being launched on Cosmos again. So according to DeFi Llama, TVL on Cosmos has increased from 376,000. You know, so basically doubled. So again, watching these TVL numbers, watching these protocols, watching where projects are moving to is a great way to look at that. And I think pull my screen off, please. Okay. I think that's pretty much all the news and stuff I had today. Algo is an example of an alt that was funding on their site. I've just not seen that elsewhere. I don't know what he's talking about.
Did you want to answer my last question?
What was the last question?
It.
Oh, about our bags outside of Bitcoin. Yeah, I did want to answer that. That was great. I'm glad you pulled it. I wanted to answer that earlier in the show. So, who wants to start with that? So, what are your biggest bags outside of Bitcoin,
Top
ETH,
3.
and ADA? Your top 3. If you, I mean, you don't have to share, but go ahead.
3. I'll go. I got XRP, Stellar, and then Chainlink are the 3 following behind, and I'm exactly in the row of
Nice.
Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. But yeah, so I guess in that, if it's the first 3 are discluded, then it's
We all gotta
Stellar.
look.
Yeah, Stellar, Chainlink, and then Cardano. That's how it goes.
Well, they
for
said
me.
exclude Cardano, right?
I know, like it's problem.
Yeah,
It's like,
well, I'm like,
they're like, what are your top 3 bags if we
Dude,
exclude your top 3
yeah.
bags?
I was gonna
Yes.
say I was
Hey,
just talking
Cardano,
about,
Maxi, don't
They
talk
want-
about Cardano.
Yeah, they want alts besides Bitcoin, Ethereum,
Steve.
and
DAG.
Cardano.
I mean,
Why are you
DAG.
guys so DJ?
I know, but my DGen plays are so small in comparison to
I don't know.
the
I,
other
I have a
bags.
lot of tap now.
You, yeah.
is USDC an altcoin?
Nice. Yeah, there you
That's who
go.
you ask.
Mine is
Well, I'll pull it up.
XRP is definitely my biggest bag, other than Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then I guess second to that is Solana and yeah, I think that's basically about it.
I
other
forgot
than
about Polygon.
Ethereum. Let me use Ethereum.
I have Polygon, DAG, and then ICP. Those are kind of like the DJ, but again, they are so small. They're like 1 or 2% of the whole thing. You know, it's a risky, it's high risk, high reward. And I've learned to just add to my Bitcoin holdings over time with those gains as they came. So that's kind of how
guys, I'm gonna like really heavy. My bags really are Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano. And once I start getting outside of, and mostly the reason of Cardano is just because I bought a lot in 2019 and just staked it and haven't really done much with it.
but didn't you buy like Algo?
I do have some Algo. I do have some Cosmos, obviously.
Corey.
I know.
And that's pretty much all that I'm going to really talk about that's notable. So,
Sometimes you just got to keep it simple, stupid.
I'll say
you
mine.
know?
yeah, go ahead.
Matic, Avalanche, and XRP.
There you go.
Nice.
There you go.
I like that.
Yeah, so those are all, I mean, like I said, I'm a big believer in this part of the cycle. You want to be
Yeah.
in Bitcoin and Ethereum, guys. And so I'm putting, and dollars too, like Frank said, I still have dollars on the side waiting to move into more Bitcoin and Ethereum. I've got accumulation goals for Bitcoin and Ethereum before I start moving into, and it's really just Bitcoin. I think I have enough Ethereum, but I just can't stop buying it, man. It's just, it's so good,
Nobody
It's like-
has Sheeb.
Yeah, none of us have
I
Sheep.
don't
No,
have any
this is a high IQ channel, guys. No offense.
Wait, what?
No. Oh, you're smart. And a BJ, obviously, I'd say outside of Cardano, I know you've got some Cody, right? You've got stuff in the Cardano ecosystem.
Yeah, I have Cody. I've had Cartesi. I
Mhm.
have Charlie. I have AGI Singularity Net.
Oh, yeah,
but I'm one
nice.
of those people, like I've ranted about this a while ago, that I think last bull run was the one for Ethereum and Ethereum alts, and I think the next bull run will be Cardano and Cardano alts. So
Could
I'm
be.
degenning.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm very much so degenning.
In the chat, I'm seeing a lot of Matic, a lot of
Yeah.
H-Bar. Let's see. Somebody says biggest bags, 8-man and Sandbox. They're going for metaverse plays. Algomatic, Immutable X. That's interesting mix there. Lido, that's one we were talking about earlier this morning that it feels like I feel like I missed the bag on that. It just keeps pumping and pumping. I don't know if I think it was me and Johnny talking about that
Yeah,
one.
Johnny's big into Lido. I forgot I bought H-Bar too. I should have brought that up, but yeah.
I think I do have some other alts in some other places, but nothing again. Like I said, nothing real notable.
Yeah.
Nothing that I have a large position in. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all we have time for today, guys. I do have some more stories. I will save them for tomorrow or the next day. Got some Mandrake stuff, and Tom Crown. Shout out to Tom Crown. He was talking about ETH breaking the BTC support, and when we were talking about, I will leave you guys with this. If we're talking about Bitcoin dominance, I did see somebody else earlier in the chat say, Benjamin Cowan ready to die on that Bitcoin dominance hill. It's gonna cross. He said as high as 60%. I don't know if he's still holding true to that, but we're starting to see it now. And I tend to agree with him that we will see Bitcoin dominance climb to at least 50% before the next bull run starts. It's it will happen, in my opinion. Hey, that's fun.
The
What
crabs are in control. It's not the bears in control.
I can't tell if that's a king pie panda or a little weird Kirby that's floating around there. But
Yes.
you know, so but this is one way to keep an eye on that. Tom Crown, you know, if you don't chart alts against Bitcoin, that, you know, that could be something you could do to start gaining that perspective of, am I you know, like if you're charting everything against dollar value, you kind of have to do some Forex math on, okay, this is what the dollar's doing, this is what Bitcoin's doing, this is what Ethereum's doing, what's the difference? But if you chart the ETH to BTC chart, you know, it's right, it was sitting right here on this level last night. I don't know where it is right now at like 0.069. You know, some people think it can pull up all the way to 0.1 or 0.17, I think is the all-time high Ethereum's ever been against Bitcoin, because the tokenomics are adjusting right now. So that's why I like Ethereum right now, because I think it actually can gain against Bitcoin. But charting and looking at charts in Bitcoin value, because you don't want to be trading, like if you say you bought a Bitcoin, right? And you bought it at $7,000. And you've been trading all of this time for, you know, years, and you might have $20,000 or $30,000, and you're maybe, say you bought it for $7,000. Say you've got 20K in your account now. And you're like, yeah, I'm up 16K on my trades, but you have less Bitcoin than you did when you started.
Yep.
You know, so like a lot of people, if you're a trader, like if you're a traditional trader, a lot of them, they're trying to beat the S&P 500. They're trying to outperform the S&P 500. If you're not doing that, you're really wasting your time trading. Same concept with Bitcoin. If you're not outperforming Bitcoin, what's the point? Why don't you just buy Bitcoin? So I like to look at, you know, ETH to Bitcoin and that sort of stuff. So just that's something to kind of take with you for the future. We're going to talk about some history stuff. Hindenburg research, something I was looking at the other day. If you guys don't follow them on Twitter, interesting. They busted world's third richest man pulling the largest con in corporate history. I was reading about this last night. Thought it was kind of interesting.
Been watching this one too. That might get interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people speculating on what they thought it was going to be, but it turned out to be basically just a stock manipulation scheme. I just retweeted it for you guys, but check them out. And then we will see you next time.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining us.
That's the pasta boys.
The Dent, who I don't think we've ever rated before, but when I found him, he was doing a bunch of trading on APT.
Okay, on Aptos. Okay, perfect. You guys wanted to see the Aptos chart? Here we go.
Yeah,
We're going to be
here we
doing a raid
go.
right now. Give him some of that basement love, and we'll see you guys later.
Goodbye.
That's the pasta.